Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here this evening to Flatout Racing Network's coverage of Monday Night Racing's playoffs. This is playoff race number 4, elimination race number 2, as we are here under the lights at Texas Motor Speedway for the Petrol Head Apparel 100. The Radicals ready to take to this D-shaped 1.5-mile speedway. And radical, the definition of radical, characterized by independence or a departure from tradition, innovative or unorthodox. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman. Michael, I don't think that this could have been a more perfectly named type car based off what we saw in practice and what we're going to see in the race here tonight, just based off that definition.
First, I'm going to have to say props to you for spending 2 hours looking at a computer to find that definition. But yeah, absolutely. From what we've seen in the practice sessions, you're gonna see everything. You know, this is Texas Motor Speedway, but to these cars, it might as well be Daytona or Talladega, because these cars can pretty much full throttle and go anywhere on the racetrack, including the apron. And more than likely, we're gonna see them going down there, making some good, exciting racing.
If you look at the way these cars are built, a word or a group of words that would not have entered your mind is two-car tandem, but we saw them bump drafting, pushing, tandeming down the straightaways, and as you mentioned, down there on the apron, down as close as the inside wall. So from what I've saw in practice and what you saw in practice, it says to me that there is no out of bounds down there. These drivers are going to utilize every bit of this racetrack. I don't think we're going to see very many drivers up to the outside wall in tonight's event.
No, not at all. Not unless they have some help. But to go back to what you said, there is one particular spot that is actually out of bounds, and that's going to be the entrance to pit road where that commitment cone is, because if they're going to use the apron, they've got to get their cars back up on the track before hitting that.
24 cars here this evening, the biggest field we've had since the Cup cars ran at the Daytona International Speedway, and that was about 3 weeks ago. As you saw, the pole sitter is going to be Joshua Slate, who ended up winning that Cup race back at the Daytona International Speedway. So we'll see if, since it's another track that's very similar to a super speedway and the type of racing that we saw in practice and what we're expected to see here, if maybe he can double down in those type of races. And he's going to be alongside of Nick DeGroot, who's the only driver who comes into this race knowing he is moving on to the next round. We mentioned the fact this is going to be an elimination race. 10 drivers enter, 7 drivers move on, but DeGroot, with having his victory last week at Eldora, he knows he's locked into the next round of the playoffs.
Absolutely, and let's not forget about that last race either. That was incredible and insane, but this race, I think, is going to keep us on edge for all 100 laps.
Drivers that are going to definitely need good runs here this evening that come into this race behind the cut line include Chris Wilner, Ron Capps, and Dylan Welch. Welch did not start last week at Eldora, so he comes in with no points towards this round. Maybe in a must-win situation, and other drivers that are down near that cut line that really need good performances tonight to keep themselves ahead of the cut line include Michael Rossi, Seth Eggert, and Ford Martin. But we'll document all that as these 100 laps circuit around here at Texas Motor Speedway as Joshua Slate is going to lead them down. Green flags in the air, and we're racing here tonight at Texas.
And we're already going 3 wide for the race lead.
These drivers know that it's going to be all about momentum, and up there to the top goes the red and white number 66 of Seth Eggert. Could not make it work as he's going to lose a spot to Stephen Ellis on the inside line, but watch them as they fan down the back straightaway. 3 wide, 4 wide, everyone fighting for a lane into 3.
And straight down onto the apron that we've talked about here, and they're going to see them come straight up the racetrack as we're looking at Stephen Ellis. He's got the race lead right now.
Saw right there, I believe that was Seth Eggert that actually got into the grass, and something I saw these drivers do is get their left sides down to that grass area. Remember, these cars are for
Oh, we have a wreck.
Caution will probably be thrown, but I was going to mention that a lot of these cars are for road course racing. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's a huge wreck, and there's still no caution.
Probably will be one here at some point, as there's another car flipping. I think that might be Rossi in the 17. There were at least 2 or 3 cars that were flipping there. On Caps was involved. There's another car there, Jerry Jordan, that bright yellow and green machine on the right side of your screen. He was involved.
Yep, Ron Capps in major back end damage. Not sure
it's
how
on
many
pit road.
Not sure how many fast repairs they have tonight.
They have 3 fast repairs at their disposal here tonight. Nope, correct that. 4 fast repairs. As Justin Malello on pit road, Seth Eggert as well. They will undoubtedly need one. Michael Rossi was a car that we saw upside down, but I think he was one of only maybe 2 or 3 that were flipping over there on the exit of turn 2.
A comment made by a driver before this race started, by Noah Lewis, says, "I'm all puckered up." So I mean, and you're gonna have to be for a combination of racing like this.
Let's take a look and see if we can find out what happened. I think this started right up near the front of the field as Seth Eggert was involved, and he was in the 4th position at the time. Let's see if we can find out. Nobody made contact with him. He was down there on the apron. The car just snapped around on him, which is kind of weird to see.
What happened was his car started to drift back up towards the banking, and when 2 of his tires got on the banking and 2 on the flat, that just makes your car super unstable, and that's what ended up sending him around.
Rossi was one of the cars that flipped up into the air, trying to identify who the other one was. And I think it could possibly have been Baldeck, I think, in the 64. Might have been the other car that went up into the air. We'll take a look at this replay and see if I am correct or not.
That's the product of taking the risk of running on the apron. If your car slides up just that little bit and you try to correct it, or it gets on the banking, you're gonna wreck, and it's gonna take a lot of people with you.
So it was not 64. Oh, it was actually the 53 of Justin Malello, who actually had to teleport back to pit road, one of our playoff contenders. And you're just going to see here as we watch this wreck, a lot of drivers looked like not only the 66 of Seth Eggert, but looked like a couple of other drivers had that kind of loose sensation feeling going into the corner. Because if we look here at the 53 of Malello, there's nobody around him. It just got loose.
And it just happens.
Over goes the 53. I believe Jeff Green and the 24 actually got a piece of this wreck as well.
Single file
font, I think, was in it.
Single file restarts for this race.
Not much of a surprise there because we know that they're going to go double wide and 3 wide once the green flag drops again anyway, so why not have it take a little bit of time before they actually do that? Going to be 4 fast repairs as mentioned, 3 green-white checkers should we need them. And of course, in this league, the admins try and do the best they can to get everybody back onto the lead lap during the caution period. So some of these caution periods may be a little bit longer than people would be used to, as Joshua Slate still waits for the lights to go out atop the pace car. Drivers that are still on pit road that actually ended up on their roofs and had to teleport to pit lane. Seth Eggert, the 66, Justin Malello in the 53, and Michael Rossi in the 17. And the reason that those 3 are really important is because those 3 came into this race playoff contenders. Eggert was 3 points ahead of the cut line, Rossi was 4 points ahead of the cut line, and Malello was 12 points ahead of the cut line. So the good news is they've got the fast repairs. They are possibly going to get back in the lead lap, but not the way they wanted to start their night.
Not a good way at all. And like you said, all they got to do is get their toes done, and it's an immediate quick repair for them to be able to get back on the racetrack. But they just got to be more vigilant. We're only on lap 5 of 100, so they've got to be able to get around the pace car, get their lap, get the quick repair, and just keep steady in the back and avoid accidents like that, because with cars racing as close as they are and how it is, accidents are inevitable.
Eggert going around. He, Malello, and Rossi have all returned back to the racetrack. 1 lap down for Eggert, 2 laps down for Malello and Rossi, and it looks like they will more than likely be back in the lead lap when we go back green. About half the field came down, made a pit stop. There's unlimited tires for them, so the drivers came down, got a new set. 10 drivers decided to stay out, including one driver that I know for certain got a piece of that wreck, and that's the 16 of Jerry Jordan. So I'm a little surprised he didn't come down pit road, if for no other reason than to get some damage repaired. But 10 drivers stay out. It'll be Slate the leader, Noah Lewis now in second, Stephen Ellis is currently the highest running of our playoff contenders in third. Drew Welker fourth. DJ Cummings fifth. Ryan Vargas, NASCAR Next driver here this evening. He's in the sixth position. Nick DeGroot, last week's winner, actually last two races winner, is in seventh. Paul Sutton eighth. Chris Wilner in ninth. And Jerry Jordan completes top 10. Those are the drivers that did not come to pit road under this caution.
Already, these cars even still on the apron as of right now. Lights are still on the pace car, which means roughly, I'm guessing, 4 or 5 laps for a caution flag.
This one might have been extended a little bit longer too, just based on the fact that a number of drivers had to tow. They are just about to have everybody back in the lead lap. There's Rossi going around, so now all 23 drivers that took the green to start this race will be taking the green to restart this race, and all will be on the lead lap. A couple of drivers who failed to make the start, the 23 of Steven Wilson and the 18 of Jonathan Davis. Davis, a car chief over at Junior Motorsports for the Michael Annett team, the number 1 team, and unfortunately he and Wilson did not make the start. So we were scheduled to have 25 drivers in the field, only 23 currently out on track.
That's correct. Yeah, 25 people were here. Steven Wilson, I think, is an off-track admin. So yeah, you're right.
We look right now in terms of who would be in, who would be out, as we're getting ready to go back green. Ron Capps is currently back in the 15th position. He was a total of 5 points below 7th in the standings, so he needs a much better finish than that. Of course, we already documented Dylan Welch. Not necessarily in a must-win situation, but he definitely needs to be up there at the front and have some of the other playoff contenders have problems. He's 14th. And Chris Wilner, who came in 2 points behind the cut line, right now he is in the 9th position, trying to see if he can knock somebody out. But a lot can change here as we're only 7 laps into this race. There's still plenty of faster pairs available for these drivers, and you get the feeling just based on what we just saw there in the early stages of this race, we're not going to be done with cautions by any stretch of the imagination as the green flag is back in the air here tonight at Texas.
Green flag back in the air, and already the leader got a good restart, but here comes the outside lane, going to quickly move as we have a couple of cars in the back, 3 wide, but also hanging back there, not trying to get up towards the front right away.
Look at Drew Welker down to the apron. He's going to go to the race lead. And one thing about tonight's race, unlike usually at the speedways, you're not going to want to get a good restart here because of the fact if you get too far out ahead, since this is like a super speedway. Oh, someone was just stopped on the apron and just got nailed by one of the leaders. I think that was the 16 that was just stopped down there in front of the race leaders, and he got clobbered.
It was.
Caution yet.
No caution. Took out Ryan Vargas. And I
don't know why he was down there. The car wasn't moving, and obviously we've seen here that is a racing lane for drivers down there. Jerry Jordan was just stopped in the middle of the track and took out Ryan Vargas. I think Brendan Madonia got a piece of that as well.
Jerry Jordan has been disqualified for that. Not sure what the issue was for that car.
Right there, I think that was the team of Paul Sutton. Blue car on the inside, second on the inside line. He actually hit the commitment cone towards the entrance of pit road. I'm not so certain that wouldn't be a penalty.
Oh, Jerry Jordan was disqualified.
I'm talking about hitting the commitment cone for the 19 car.
Oh.
Did it coming out of turn 4 there, and see what ruling is on that is, well, as soon as I say that, race leader Joshua Slate just hit the commitment cone as well.
I don't think there's a penalty for hitting the cone. I think it's if you're just under the line.
As down into turn 1 they go. Joshua Slate continuing to show the way, although he had to fight off a very game Drew Welker for that position. Paul Sutton now behind him in second, and this is where all the fun is. 3 wide now for the second position as Noah Lewis way up on the top now crosses down to the apron to the inside of DJ Cummings for third.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy. Cummings is up and into the wall. He's flipping and barrel rolling down the front straightaway, now to the infield grass. There were 4 or 5 cars that actually were below the commitment cone that time.
Yeah, there was. I was just about to say that when somebody came up into somebody, we knew this was going to be a problem. We knew that these cars were going to have a hard time just getting back up on the racetrack, merging back up with cars there. So at least with using 3 or 4 wide, it's not a good idea.
I'd have to double check, but I believe the car that shot up into DJ Cummings was the 98 of Noah Lewis. And caution's going to wave for the second time here tonight. Another driver we just saw was on pit road was the 64 of Brett Baldeck. I don't think he was involved in that wreck. He might have been involved in something prior to that that didn't necessarily bring the caution flag out. We'll go back and look.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the 98 machine. And not only that, but we're gonna have to figure out if these guys are gonna get black flags for being underneath the commitment cone.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm going to be really interested to see because we saw them doing the same thing in practice, hitting that commitment line over to the left side of the commitment cone, but that was practice. Usually you don't get disqualified for something like that in practice. In race conditions, though, I kind of thought that was going to be an out of bounds area. You alluded to it pre-race, but the fact that we saw a number of drivers actually do it, I'm not so certain if there would not be some penalty that even iRacing would give out.
Brendan Madonia was given an EOL penalty.
See here what brought the caution out, and there you see, looks like Paul Sutton may have run Noah Lewis out of room. And I believe the car right there that actually hit the flipping DJ Cummings was the 64 of Brett Baldeck. Oh no, actually Baldeck, like he got into his own incident there in the tri-oval. Let's go back and see what happened to him.
Yeah, that was incredible, and we're gonna probably see this all night. You know, it's turn 4. Turn 4 is gonna be the point we're gonna have to watch.
There's what you saw right there. I'm not certain who that was out of shape in the grass, but they threw the car in reverse, came right back up in front of the 64 of Brent Baldeck. And the thing I'm a little bit worried about here, Michael, I mean, we've seen some pretty hard hits taken already in this race. Yes, there are 4 repairs at their disposal, 4 fast repairs, but at the same time, if you end up tearing your car up 3 times in the first 50 laps, that's one more fast repair you have at your disposal with 50 laps remaining. I mean, these drivers, I would have thought, would want to be preserving those fast repairs as much as possible.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big issue, and they're gonna have to just keep and play it safe. But these cars up front, they are really just freaking racing like crazy, and that's what's leading to all of these wrecks.
Looking at the 11 of Steve Affont, he was actually the one that hit roof first to the front of the flipping DJ Cummings. That's what sent him around, and then he got clobbered by the 64 of Brent Baldeck. So those are all the drivers that, to my knowledge, at least sustained the most damage from that wreck on the front straightaway. Baldeck had to teleport to pit road as his engine was toast. Could not refire the car on the front straightaway, so this will probably be a bit of an extended to try and get him back on the lead lap. Madoni, you mentioned, getting that EOL, so he's back in the 21st position, but still on the lead lap. And a big break for Ryan Vargas in the 4, who we saw clobber the 16 of Jerry Jordan during that last run. He undoubtedly came to pit road and got one of his fast repairs.
Yeah. Brett Baldeck has given a bit of a reminder to the drivers here. They told him to give it a couple laps on fresh tires before just trying the apron. Of course.
Well, I was wondering about that because, the incident we saw with Seth Eggert and Justin Malello both back on the first lap, I almost wondered if maybe the cold tires was causing these drivers to get snappy loose.
Very possible, but it's really just a transition from a flat surface to a banked surface.
Joshua Slate still the race leader. Stephen Ellis is now up to second. Drew Welker in third. Paul Sutton fourth. And for the first time tonight, Joe Agee appears up inside of the top 5 in fifth. And it's Chris Wilner, Jason Keffer, Jeff Green, Michael Massey, and Ron Capps. Now, obviously, folks, with the fact that there are 4 fast repairs available to these drivers and the fact that there are right now 22 cars in the field, it's going to be very difficult for us to be able to keep an eye on who has how many fast repairs still left at their disposal. If a driver ends up DNFing out of the race, especially near the closing stages, I think it'll be safe to assume they are out of fast repairs. But up until that point, we aren't really going to know who is down to their last faster pair and who is not.
Yeah, absolutely. Better just start writing numbers down because I feel like that's going to be most of these drivers. I feel like at least maybe 80% of these drivers will have used all their faster pairs by the end of this race.
One driver that we talked to last week was, of course, our race winner from Eldora, Nick DeGroot. He comes into this race completely worry-free, knowing he will advance into the next round of the playoffs, into the final 7. And one thing that he said to us last week was the fact that it was a weight off of his shoulders because he didn't know what these radicals were going to do here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. To have that win in the bank heading into a wild card race like this just took a load off of his mind, and he's been kind of quiet here this evening. He did qualify on the outside of the front row, but we really haven't said his name since the drop of the green flag. Right now, he's just kind of riding mid-pack in the 15th position.
Yeah. Probably picked a smart strategy, just ride in the pack and try to avoid all the wrecks. He knows he's locked in, but you still got to be smart. Be smart with how you race.
Let's see if the lights go out atop the pace car this time or not, and they will. As Brett Baldeck right now 2 laps down. We'll see if he's able to get back in the lead lap before we go green. Before we do go green, folks, of course, this race here tonight is the Petrol Head Apparel 100, and Petrol Head Apparel has been sponsoring the last couple of races here for Monday Night Racing. Petrol Head Apparel products are made to order with the best quality materials possible using their state-of-the-art digital printing equipment. From t-shirts to hoodies to tank tops, visit their shop at petrolhead-apparel.myshopify.com and follow them on social media on Twitter at petrolheadshirt. Of course, Petrolhead Apparel sponsoring Ron Capps here this evening, running in the 10th position. Ron Capps trying to advance into the next round of the playoffs, and right now, 5 points behind the cut line, but running ahead of certain drivers that he needs to, such as Michael Rossi, Seth Akert, and Ford Martin. So could very well be pointing his way into the playoffs, but still a long ways to go as we have just now completed our second caution of the evening, and we're not even a quarter of the way through this race. Green flag will come back out on lap 18 of 100.
Yep, a long race to go. We'll see if these drivers can cool it down or not. Green flag back out. Oh, and we already have a spin.
That's Dylan Welch and Michael Rossi back there towards the rear of the field. Rossi down on pit road. On Welch. Just now got the car refired on the front straightaway. I don't think we're going to have a caution for that, but we'll wait and see what the admins do. Ooh, little contact there between Joshua Slate and Drew Welker for the race lead down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I'm not even want to concentrate on the race lead. I'm just concentrating on this pack of cars that are 4 wide. They've got to get off the apron. Yep, they've got to get off the apron and up, and there's just so many cars.
Boy.
Oh, there we go.
There goes the car around. Cars down in the infield. One's Ron Capps. I couldn't tell who the other one was. Probably the 98 of Noah Lewis. We'll see if that brings out a caution or not, as that did spin down to the inside of the infield. Oh, again some contact there between Slate and Welker off of turn 2.
All right, I think that we're not going to see a caution flag again, unless there's a track blocking huge wreck.
We'll have to wait and see about that, as they are double wide, about 5 rows deep. Look here to the outside, Jeff Green. He's going to make a move for the top position in the 24 car. 3 wide, 4 wide behind them.
The outside lane is not the lane you want to be in. That apron to bottom line are the lanes that get the momentum. Making a move on the outside lane is just not going to do it for you.
Remember we said Nick DeGroot was riding? Nope, there goes another car around. That's Welker in the 2.
And he just got flipped over.
That's going to probably bring out a caution for sure. That car tumbles back down the banking into the middle of 3 and 4. Still no caution yet, as DeGroot, he's not riding anymore, to the outside of Joshua Slate for the race lead. Jeff Green right there as well. Ooh, Jeff Green maybe thinking about going up the middle, 3 wide down the back straightaway.
And it looks like that's probably going to happen. No caution for the wreck. And it looks like Jeff Green, for the time being, might have the lead here as he heads down to the apron. But that very inside lane is going to be the one to watch.
think you hit the nail on the head, Michael, that it's going to have to be a really big wreck, a track blocking wreck for these drivers to have a caution to save them, as they were nearly four wide there on the front straightaway. I mean, that's what scares me. This is not like a normal speedway with a straight back straightaway and a straight front straightaway. This is a 1.5 miles with that D-shaped front straightaway, so there's a lot more turning left on the front straightaway than there is at normal tracks.
Yeah, there is, and it's just incredible. Man, my heart is stopping every time I see these cars go 4 or 5 wide, and they're all on the apron.
Let's take a look and see what the drivers are seeing. Look at this. Oh, there's some contact right in front of Ryan Vargas. I think that was Nick DeGroot getting put up into the wall on the front straightaway. I mean, look at what these guys are looking at going into turn 1. This is insane.
Yeah, and you get kicked out of line. If you get kicked down the line, you're pretty much done. You also gotta watch. I'm seeing these cars hit the inside wall.
Oh, we got a car in the inside wall there for a brief moment. I couldn't tell who that was.
The 11.
Yvonne Font, you can see that's actually giving him some rear wing damage as Jeff Green blocking Joshua Slate out of turn 4, but Slate's gonna stick his foot to the inside. Seth Agert right behind him. We saw that 66 car flipped over back on the first lap.
Yep, and that's the beauty of a fast repair. Saw him flipped over on the first lap, and here he is immediately up at the front again. They're coming up on a lapped car as well. I'm not sure who that is.
I think that could possibly be the 17 of Michael Rossi, who we saw spun out on the restart. There you see the blue and yellow machine. That's Jason Keffer in the 21. First time he's been up here inside of the top 5.
Oh, the leader's contact. Oh, God. Okay. And yes, you're right. That is Michael Rossi that they're coming up on for the lap machine.
These drivers, they're trying to block each other, but these are not cars that are built for blocking. To the expression you had there and what I've been seeing on the back straightaway, there's a huge chance for the rear bumper to hook with the front bumper of the car behind them, and that's why I'm shocked these drivers are taking such risks in trying to block each other.
Oh my lord, these people are just frightening me with all these not abusive moves, but all these huge moves that they're making. And they're gonna go 4 wide again, and he's gonna. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yep,
Joshua Slate off the nose of Seth Egert. He's gonna go up the racetrack. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Nick DeGroot in the 89 that actually got turned.
Caution is out. Oh look! Oh, Joshua Slate's in a predicament. Joshua Slate is in a predicament. He is stuck on the wall, and he's not going to be able to get out of that.
Slate giving Texas Motor Speedway a lot of advertising time with the positioning of his race car, and after all of that mayhem, Ryan Vargas is now going to be the race leader here under the 3rd caution of the day. It just gives us a chance to catch our breath, gives them a chance to catch their breath. We're going to try and see if we can document as much as we can of what happened there during that entire green flag run leading up to the 3rd caution.
It was just 4 wide after 3 wide after 4 wide after a crazy move and a crazy move, and now we're here.
That just about sums it up. We're going to see if we can first find out what happened to Michael Rossi and Dylan Welch back on the initial start of this race.
I believe the wreck that brought out the caution, which we'll get to here in a few moments, I think that was the 2 race leaders that brought that out.
Well, I know one of them was the 66 of Seth Egert. I think the other one, either the 88 of Joshua Slate or the
it was Slate.
89.
It was the 88. Yep, they just made contact, and that took out a lot of cars.
Here's what happened on the initial restart here that did not bring out a yellow. Watch the black machine, the black and blue machine of Dylan Welch back there. He was ready to go, and Rossi just wasn't able to get going. He was slowed up by the car ahead of him. Welch spun to the outside, and Rossi spun to the inside. And we're now going to take a look and see if we can find out what happened to Ron Capps. He spun down into the infield grass at a certain point during this run. I think he made contact. I think that possibly was the Noah Lewis. We'll watch this here on the front straightaway, and then we'll take a look at what happened over there into turn 1 with the race leaders. Jason Keffer came down into Ron Capps. Capps comes down and gets into Noah Lewis. I don't think either car really hit anything. I think they were both able pretty much to be able to continue. Fortunately for both of them as well, I think they both were able to stay on the lead lap. And now we'll take a look and see what happened here with Joshua Slate and Seth Eggert. And from what I saw, it almost looked like the 66. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the 66 got down on the paint line, perhaps.
Yeah, it was. He just tried to go down the apron, slid up a little bit, hit the 88, came back down, tried to collect his car, came back up, hit the 88, and they both spun.
Let's see if we get a good camera angle here of what happened as Joshua Slate becomes the last driver to go airborne here tonight at Texas. And there's a long list of drivers on that one, as there's the contact between the 66 and the 88, and the track's just completely blocked up. I believe that was the 46, Stephen Ellis, that also got a piece of this wreck. And there you see how the 88 of Joshua Slate finally did come to rest. I want to check and see, because I believe that somebody else may have hit the 66 car as well.
Lights are still on the pace car here, and like you said, yeah, Ryan Vargas is currently the race leader.
A couple of drivers had to take a tow after this, including Joshua Slate and the 98 of Noah Lewis. And no, it doesn't look like actually anybody did hit Seth Eggert after he got his car refired. So everybody did a pretty good job of getting it wound up. There is a car that's facing the wrong way right there. I'm not sure who that is. We can find out. That was actually a Michael Massey, the 27. Let's see how he got involved, as this is going to look very similar to what happened to Justin Malello when he tried avoiding the first caution wreck, trying to get up out of the way, and the car is going to get loose on him. Oh, nope, he got clipped just a little bit. And then gets run into from behind by a number of drivers there. I think that was the 22 of Dylan Welch, and I'm not certain who that other driver was. It might possibly have been Drew Welker, might have been Paul Sutton. I'm not really certain. The problem with this series, at least for a commentator's standpoint of view, so many different mods, so many different tracks, that the paint schemes don't carry over in terms of what they ran with another car or another truck. So it's kind of a learning period during practice to try and figure out who's in what color livery for the evening's race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to tell. That's why I'm kind of glad I got the co-spot, so I could see who they are with next to their numbers.
So lights still out atop the pace car as Ryan Vargas continues to show the way. While we wait for the lights to go out atop the pace car, for everybody to get put back onto the lead lap, we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break. You won't miss a thing. We'll be back here for the green flag at Texas Motor Speedway as we go FRN side by side. Getting ready to go back. Green Flag Racing here this evening in the Petrol Head Apparel 100 at Texas Motor Speedway. Ryan Vargas about to get us back underway. 21 of 22 drivers on the lead lap as Noah Lewis still sits on pit road getting repairs done to his number 98. Green flag back in the air as we're just about a third of the way through this race.
That's right. Second place got a little bit of the grass on the restart and almost spun himself out. Jason Keffer.
Green right behind him in the 24. Joe Adgie, Ford Martin now up here inside of the top 5. First time we've mentioned Ford's name this evening. He's down there near the cut line.
Jeff Green was looking for the lead to pass on the inside, and the 4 car through the block. And now Jeff Green going to try to run a little bit of the outside lane here. He's going to have a bit of the drafting help. Nope, never mind. Keffer is going to go towards the middle lane maybe.
We're trying to find a lane of his own to try and take the race lead as Stephen Ellis, Ford Martin, Seth Eggert back there, a number of our playoff contenders. And it's almost to the point right now. Ryan Vargas, did he get help or he just spin around? But he clobbered the inside wall.
Oh, he might have gotten help from Jeff Green there. That was awfully close, and the caution is out for that.
It was close. It was hard to tell from our camera view whether there was contact from behind courtesy of the 24 of Green or not.
I will be able to tell. Just a second.
It have been Ryan Vargas maybe getting a little bit loose and then Green finishing him off, but we will definitely go back and take a look at that. See if we can get a good shot here of what happened to Ryan Vargas from the race lead.
Oh, it's very possible that the 4 car might have come up into Jeff Green just that little bit, because I'm looking at the replay. Yeah, and Jeff Green was just holding his line. Yeah, Jeff Green was holding his line. The 4 car kind of drifted up the track a little bit.
A good way to be able to tell is if we actually go on board with the 24 of Jeff Green and see what he saw coming out of turn 2. Was at the start-finish line heading into turn 1. If you look on the left side of your screen, you'll see Ryan Vargas right there just edging ahead. To the corner they go, and oh yeah, that looked almost like a little bit of neck code there.
It very well could have been.
I don't think that the right rear of the 4 was quite up to the left front of the 24. But obviously Ryan Vargas getting the worst out of that situation, and that turns the race lead now over to Jeff Green in the 24 car.
Well, we're still just shy of halfway.
Now that caution is going to be a big break for Noah Lewis. This will help the admins to get him back on the lead lap. Also, I believe he came to pit road just moments ago. Dylan Welch in the 22 is currently 2 laps down. I also saw the 13 of Ron Capps. He's actually coming back down pit road again. When that wreck happened, I saw he was kind of straggling towards the back end of the field, and I almost wonder if that might be a sign that he may be down pretty close to either his last 1 or 2 fast repairs, and he's wanting to preserve them here since we're not even halfway through this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you say? We got a long caution period. Want to take another quick side-by-side?
Yeah, we'll do another quick commercial break here while the admins get everybody back in the lead lap. Oh, before we do that, we just had something develop here, and it concerns one of our playoff contenders, Dylan Welch. The 22 has disconnected, and Welch came into this race with no points from Eldora last week. He was 10th out of the 10 remaining playoff contenders, and it looks like Dylan Welch, his playoff hopes will come to an end here this evening at Texas. So a tough break there for Dylan Welch, and now we know that at least one of the 3 drivers that will not be advancing into next week's round of 7. As Dylan Welch is out, Noah Lewis is getting his laps back. And we are going to step aside real quickly for another side-by-side. We'll be back for the restart here this evening at Texas in just a moment.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
And we welcome you back here to Texas Motor Speedway playoff race number 4 of Monday Night Racing here for the Petrol Head night so far. Race leader is Jeff Green, getting ready to get us back underway here this evening, getting closer to the halfway point of this race. It's getting to the point here, Michael, where we're kind of wondering when are these drivers going to settle down just the least little bit, but there's been no sign of let up here on these past restarts.
Probably when they run out of fast repairs.
Probably. As the green flag in the air for Jeff Green, Stephen Ellis, Jason Keffer, Seth Eggert, and Ford Martin were the top 5 crossing the line. And boy, the 07 did not get going. The 66 did. He's up to 4th place already going into turn 1.
You talked about not wanting to get a good restart. Jeff Green got a big restart here. We'll see if the pack eats him up. He's just kind of got to protect the inside line here.
Eggert made up about 2-3 positions on the outside line. Now darts down to the inside of Stephen Ellis for 3rd. And let's go on board with this 60 because he's going places as Jason Keffer looks to the outside of Green. Here comes Eggert to the inside of Green for the race lead at the start-finish line.
Wasn't that long ago that the 66 was involved in an accident.
Martin using Jeff Green to maybe keep his car straight as he kind of pulled a move that had Seth Eggert around in turns 1 and 2 earlier in this race. And look at this, down the back straightaway, 3 wide, almost 4 wide. Jeff Green into the right rear quarter panel of Stephen Ellis. It's a wonder we didn't have a wreck going into 3 right there.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on this huge pack, and it's incredible. Holy cow, the amount of racing that we're seeing here, it's really heart-stopping.
I mean, we're watching this battling up here at the front of the field, but they are 3 wide. They are 4 wide, mid-pack to the rear as Eggert out in front. Jeff Green now side by side with Keffer for 2nd. They make some contact, and there goes Green.
And Jeff Green able to keep it in the wall, but there's another car behind him. There's another wreck, and here we go, another big one. Car's flipping down the back straightaway.
Font got a piece of it. Joe Agee got a piece of it. The track's not completely blocked up, so I don't see a caution thrown yet.
There it is.
Up there's the caution. Stephen Ellis in the 46 you can see was involved. Drew Welker, I think, got a piece. Pretty sure the 11 got a little bit of that incident. Possibly last week's winner, Nick DeGroot. Jason Keffer is going to inherit the lead after all of that one. And look at some more camera angles here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Actually, Seth Eggert was the race leader, I guess.
Yeah.
That caution came out. So we're going to go back and see if we can find what happened there on the back straightaway. But it all started with the 24 of Jeff Green. I think there was some contact between himself and the 21.
Yeah, it was definitely something. It was just light contact, and it's just enough to send these cars out of control.
Jeff Green was at the time in the second position, and actually, despite the fact that he was the first one to get out of shape, he actually got through maybe with the least amount of damage. A number of other drivers behind him took harder shots. And I think Green just went up and maybe brushed the outside wall right there.
Oh,
well,
no,
that's not a brush.
Yeah, so yeah, that's definitely not a brush.
That's the 25 of Agi that got out of shape there. Oh, up and over went the 46 of Ellis, and I think that might have been Ryan Vargas in the 4 that got into him. And let's not forget that Ryan Vargas was back there because of the spin out he had that brought out the 4th caution.
It looked like it might have been a little bit of netcode error between Keffer and Green on that restart, or on that for that wreck.
We go on board here with Ryan Vargas and see what he saw. I mean, when you see a number of drivers flipping in different lanes down the back straightaway, you got to kind of pick a lane. Ooh, wow, look at that. When he got into the back of Nick DeGroot just for a simple bump draft, it actually completely rippled up the back bumper of the 89. So that's how touchy these cars are in terms of the contact and the damage sustained.
Absolutely.
So caution's going to come out here for the 5th time here tonight at Texas. And Michael, you alluded to the fact that drivers were told here through admin chat that the reason that these caution laps are so long, I had assumed that it was because they were trying to get everybody back in the lead lap. And of course, these long caution periods give them that opportunity. It's something that they have done all season long, but it's actually something based off this type of car at Texas Motor Speedway that gives us these longer caution periods.
Yeah, something really to do with the way the iRacing is for events like this. I'm not entirely sure, but it brings out long caution flags laps.
Pretty cool, folks, is that all the different types of cars that we get to broadcast here, iRacing has them up on their website for you to be able to go and kind of get some information about the type of car that's been prototyped into the sim. And I had never prior to this race known about the Radical SR8 V8s. I was completely confused on what Radicals at Texas was going to be, so I did a little bit of research. And you want to hear a useless trivia fact about these cars, Michael?
I guess, if you want to tell me, because I feel like even if I said no, you were going to tell me anyways.
Better believe it. Well, apparently the SR8 V8 actually owned the overall lap record at the Nürburgring's legendary 13-mile, 73-turn Nordschleife road
73
course.
turns.
73 turns.
Oh, my God.
That's pretty much, folks, about, if my calculations are correct, I think that's roughly, 25 laps at Daytona?
Yeah, 73 turns, yeah.
That's a long ways.
Well, hold on, let me see. I'm gonna double check your math. Where's my phone? Here it is.
Double check my math because 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna be wrong. I just pick numbers out of the air. But while you're checking my math, we see some drivers going around there, getting back in the lead lap. It looks like we're gonna have all 21 cars that are still running on the lead lap. Noah Lewis, I think, was the car that just went around.
You were so far off.
Surprised me.
It's 18 and a quarter laps.
That's closer to 25 than it is to 0, so I'll go with that. Seth Egger, it's going to be the leader when we go back green. Jason Keffer in second. Brendan Madonia, let's not forget, he got an EOL penalty back, I think it was on the second caution. He's now up to third. Michael Rossi, who's had his problems here tonight, is now up in fourth. And DJ Cummings, we saw him flipping down in the front straightaway grass about 20 laps ago. He's now up to fifth. Chris Wilner, this is the guy I think you might not want to sleep on here tonight because Wilner came into this race the first car below the cut line, only 3 points back from Ford Martin. And he's been up here inside the top 10 pretty much all night long, but not really up at the front battling for the lead. So it's those kind of guys that kind of are laying back, just waiting for an opportunity to strike, especially when it's an elimination race that you really have to keep your wits about.
Absolutely, and I really wish these guys would calm down a little bit, get some racing in. I'd love to see some pit stops happen with these race cars. So hopefully we'll be able to see some of that, but you've really got to keep your focus.
See the lights out atop the pace car this time, I would assume. Noah Lewis just got his last lap back, so now all 21 cars on the lead lap, and there you see lights are out atop the pace car. So we will go back green on lap 47 of 100, which will give us a total of 54 laps to go. One driver we do know will be eliminated after tonight. That is Dylan Welch. Question is, who are the other two drivers that are going to be joining him eliminated from the round of 7? The one driver we do know for absolute certainty is going to be moving on is the 89 of Nick DeGroot. His night has not been without some issues, as he's been involved in a couple of wrecks. Right now runs in the 20th position, right back towards the rear of the field.
Absolutely. Seth Eggert still leading up here. This is very interesting. I've actually never seen a race in iRacing or at all where the drivers have to protect literally all the way to the inside wall. Not just the inside line, but the inside wall.
Well, the thing about Seth Eggert that he's been able to do tonight is he's been able to make all the lanes work for him. He went around the outside to pick up positions there on that last restart, then ducked it down to the middle, and then eventually to the very inside of the front straightaway. So he's been able to kind of put his car wherever he wants to tonight.
These drivers are getting, I think, a little bored out there because all I'm hearing and seeing in chat is song lyrics.
The song they're going to be singing now is
Green Flag, Let's Go Racing.
Yes. I was hoping that you would come up with a song title. I'm not really sure that's actually a song title, but we'll find out later on as here comes Jason Keffer to the inside of Seth Eggert. Ooh, we got his left sides down there on that paint line. Got to be careful because that 66 is spun around one too many times there in turns 1 and 2. Look at Madonia up on the outside, and there's Michael Rossi in the 17 trying to pick a lane as well.
Yeah, Seth Eggert made the mistake of leaving the inside open, and Keffer took advantage of it on the road. Oh, we got a wreck.
There they go. That was Michael Rossi in the 17 with a little help from, I think that might have been the 26 of Chris Wilner, who we mentioned has been very quiet here tonight, but apparently not without incident now. No caution yet, as we had only 2 cars spin in that incident.
Absolutely. That's broken up the front pack here, and they're a couple laps shy of halfway. Keffer to the inside. I think he's going to probably have the lead, and he's going to be clear.
Chris Wilner did get a piece of it, but I think the driver that got the most out of it. What are they doing? Keffer just blocked Eggert down into the grass. The two continue to make contact all the way down towards the start-finish line. Madonia is up into the outside wall. I don't know how a caution hasn't been thrown for this.
I have no idea.
Seth Eggert trying to get the car refired going into turn 1. There's Madonia. DJ Cummings, after all of this, is the race leader. Almost 4 seconds ahead of this second place battle, which is now Joshua Slate in the 88, Ron Capps in the 13, Jason Keffer in the 21.
Well, I see. Maybe we'll finally get some green flag racing now that half the field has wrecked.
And they're all split up as well. There's a lot of daylight between your top 5 at the moment. All 5 separated by 6 seconds. And some drivers on pit road after all of this, including some of your playoff contenders, Ford Martin, Chris Wilner, and Michael Rossi. So this could be a huge blow to these drivers if another caution doesn't come out as far as they're advancing into the round of 7.
Some of these drivers are back up together in a bit of a pack, so see if they can maybe be calm and just run in a line and try to catch up with everybody.
Ron Capps, Jason Keffer, Michael Massey, Jeff Green, and Joe Agee, that 5 drivers you were talking about from 3rd back to 7th. And much like a super speedway, if you can get yourself lined up single file, no doubt these guys are going to be able to reel in the top 2. But the problem is, I've noticed that these drivers are able to get such a run on each other. You've got to take that momentum somewhere. Nobody's going to really want to just sit in line and ride single file behind someone.
Yeah, and that's been their biggest mistake.
Diva Font is now up in this group in the 11. I believe that's Stephen Ellis back there as well in the 46. So now you've got 3rd back through 9th up in this lead pack. And behind them in the 10th position, Noah Lewis, who we talked about 15 laps ago, was 3 laps down back in the lead lap. And right now up in that 10th position trying to hold off Ryan Vargas.
This almost reminds me of an IROC race. You know, cars are set up all the same, and it's just it's just survival of the fittest.
And look at this. We're going to have the 6 of Seth Eggert maybe go a lap down after we saw the incident he had on the front straightaway there between himself and Jason Keffer. For the moment, going to stay on the lead lap. Brendan Madoni and the 49 also trying to stay on the lead lap, and I believe that the car that's in the middle there is the 17 of Michael Rossi, who's returned back to the track but 2 laps down.
Yeah, and unfortunately, with all the damage that they have, they're going to have to rely on a caution flag. As we've made it past halfway.
Now I'm going to try and see if I can quickly work the calculator to see if anything has changed as far as the playoff standings. Right now with Chris Wilner 2 laps down, we just saw him there in the 26. He currently is still in an elimination spot. We already know Dylan Welch is out. The question is, who is the other driver currently in an elimination position? It would not be Ron Capps. He's up in 6th place now. The driver I think that might be in trouble might be that 07 of Ford Martin. He's got to get himself at least 2 positions ahead of Seth Eggert or 3 positions ahead of Michael Rossi.
I have another wreck on the front straightaway. Michael Massey involved.
I believe that was also the 11 of Steve Offant.
Joe Agee involved as well.
Caution, however, as we are still green. There's the 25 and the 27 down on the inside coming off where pit road exit is. Still green flag racing as that lead that DJ Cummings had over Jeff Green, it is slowly dwindling, but not by much. The last time we checked, it was about 3.7 seconds. It's now about 3.5 seconds.
Yep, slowly but steadily. They're still battling here. This lapped car is just door banked Jeff Green for no reason.
I believe Joshua Slate in the 88. Here comes Keffer now to the outside for 2nd place. And now Slate with a big run, going to make it 3 wide. This is all for 2nd, going on almost 4 seconds behind the race leader, DJ Cummings, who came into this one, I believe, 9 points ahead of the cut line. And, of course, a win and you're in situation, but just based on the fact of where he's running, even if he didn't win this race, I think he would be able to advance into the round of 7 on points.
More than likely, if he's got enough of a gap, he could definitely do it. He's having a good, strong run. Now, our leader has a couple lap cars around him, which means he's not totally by himself, and that's probably what's helping keep his lead only diminishing by the smallest margin. I can't speak tonight.
A great point there. He's got Chris Wilner in the 26 there with him, as Wilner just actually picked up a spot on track, moved up to 16th. Joe Agee in the 25 on pit road.
Leaders just wrecked. Well, not leaders, but that second pack.
That would be Ron Capps and Jason Keffer that got together. Whoa, splitting the gap there. I believe that was the 19 of Paul Sutton, the lap machine. It's not good for Ron Capps because he's got to keep himself ahead of guys like Ford Martin, Seth Eggert, Chris Wilner, and Michael Rossi to keep his playoff hopes alive. Look like he's up to speed. Caution is now out. And yeah, I'm not certain which incident this caution came out for.
So much going on around this racetrack. These guys are just not being careful. They're just trying to take everything they can, and it's still early in this race.
I mean, I can completely understand the fact that if you've got to run, you've got to take it somewhere. Also, with the fact that this is maybe one of the longer races that these drivers are running this season. So with the longevity of the race, you want to preserve your car and your faster pairs as much as possible, I would have thought.
Yeah. And well, if you get a long enough green flag run, that'll help. But, you know, it's especially in a series where you can get your laps back under caution. So it's crazy.
I'll tell you who this caution was a huge break for. Yeah, that was drivers like Justin Malello, Ford Martin, Seth Eggert, Chris Wilner, and Michael Rossi, because this will put all those playoff contenders back on the lead lap. Some of them were 1 lap down. Most of them were 2 laps down after everything that happened there under that period of green flag racing.
The only downside to this caution is that it bunches everybody back up again, which means there's less room on the racetrack to take it. But then again, that means that Jeff Green is to the back bumper of DJ Cummings in that 10.
talked about the way that these cars are built, the possibility of bumper grab. That's what actually brought this caution out. We're going to focus on the 21 of Jason Keffer. The car that he's going to catch up to here is the 13 of Ron Capps. You'll just see right here that with this D-shaped front straightaway, as 13 moves down, the front bumper of the 21 is there, and the two of them just hook each other. And boy, another flip there. This time add Jason Keffer to the list of drivers that have gone up and over here tonight at Texas.
Absolutely.
We'll see if we can go back and find a couple of the incidents also that didn't necessarily bring out the caution.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of them, so have fun with that.
Was involved in one of our playoff drivers. See if we can find out what happened to him. I know
Ford
was on the back straightaway.
I know that Ford Martin was part of a accident too that didn't bring out a caution.
So we'll take a look and see what happened here with the 07. I also saw the 19 of Paul Sutton. He was actually behind the pit wall down near the end of the pit road exit. So I'm not really sure why he was down there. And it might actually have something to do with this wreck that we're going to focus on here. Coming up turn 4. There's the contact there between Rossi, Ford, and Martin. There's Chris Wilner. Whoa, car up in the air was Rossi. Oh, there were a number of cars that actually flipped right there at the bottom of our camera screen. We'll see who those drivers were. I think Justin Malello was in the grass.
Yeah,
and actually this explains it. I was wondering why Paul Sutton was back behind the wall. He actually flipped there, as we're going to see.
Well, that's one way to make an entrance. Or I should say an exit.
Not sure who the other car was that hit him. Take a look at this with the 19 car. Everything's fine. He spins around, gets clobbered. Oh my goodness, and then gets shot right up over the wall. I'm not certain who that other car was that flipped him up over the wall, but Paul Sutton tried to get his car refired up and get back out on the track. I think there was an invisible wall right there preventing him from returning back to the racetrack, so he had no choice but to teleport to pit road.
Yeah, did you see the wreck with the 07 machine? He had an incident coming on. He had an incident coming off of turn 4 on the dog leg beginning here. So,
and I believe the 25 of Joe Agee had an incident as well under this green flag run. We'll see what happened with him.
Yeah, he was just given an EOL penalty.
And we'll see what the incident was that warranted that EOL penalty for the 25 car. Yeah, he's got to go down into the grass with another machine. It's hard to tell who that is. Might actually have been the 19 of Paul Sutton again. And it was not. It was actually the 27 of Michael Massey that he's going to get into. Watch on the left side of your screen there, the red, white, and blue machine. Oh, actually, Massey got hit by somebody. Couldn't tell who that was. That came right up in front of the 27. See if we can find out again here on another camera angle.
Keep an eye. Ford Martin was given an EOL a penalty as well, as the pace car lights are still on.
It might have actually been the 11 of Steve Offant. That was the one that came up and got Michael Massey, and we'll take a look here and see if that is indeed the case. Coming off of 4. Oh yeah, makes some contact there with Massey, and then up, and wow, that car actually stuck into the outside wall. It was that hard of an impact. The whole left front of the car impaled the outside safer barrier. So another long caution period here for these drivers. We are past the halfway point of this race, however. We'll be going back green with less than 40 laps to go. I think the lights actually just went out atop the pace car this time. And we mentioned the drivers that were happy to see the caution come out. Maybe the one driver that wasn't happy was DJ Cummings, because he was enjoying about a 3.5 to 4 second lead over everybody else.
Yeah, he was. With lap cars in front that he could draft off of, he was able to keep that steady of a lead as we're within 40 laps to go here. And let's hope that we can get another long green flag run this time.
Of course, these drivers do also have 3 green-white checkers at their disposal. We'll see if we're going to need one or all of them at this point as we're
Let's
working our
knock it on
6th
wood.
caution
Let's
of the
hope
night.
not.
Yeah. DJ Cummings
So-
looks in his rearview mirror, now sees Jeff Green, Joshua Slate, Ryan Vargas, and Noah Lewis, the new top 5.
So Seth, dare we bring up the possibility of making picks on who we think is gonna bring it home tonight?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I don't think we can pick somebody. Talk to me when they're coming off turn 4 to the checkered flag. That's when I'll make my pick. Because right now, everybody in the field is back on the lead lap, with the exception of Ron Capps, who is some damage repaired. I think he might have actually had to take a tow. So he's 3 laps down. 20 of our 21 cars on the lead lap as the green flag is back in the air with 37 to go. And a car out of shape already on the restart.
That does not surprise me, as that happens quite a lot here. That
was
is
a
Noah
66.
Lewis.
Noah Lewis and Seth Agert and Ford Martin. Nick DeGroot as well. One car gets out of shape, everybody else gets out of shape, trying to turn either left or right to avoid. We've seen how drivers with the cooler tires have had a lot of difficulty with grip on the initial starts of this race, and that's just a byproduct of it, as Jeff Green, way down to the inside wall, is going to clear Joshua Slate for the lead. Look at the tandem draft. Here we go.
Oh, into the grass went
Ryan Vargas.
went Ryan Vargas, and yeah, tandem drafting does work here, but I don't think it works for very long.
Well, they got a huge run there on Jeff Green and Joshua Slate. DJ Cummings with a rear deck lid full of the 4. And look, they're tandeming again. It's now 2-car tandeming. Who brought 2010 back?
Yeah, talk about who was on the apron?
Whoever it
Is
was.
there somebody on the apron in turn 4?
There's Brett Baldeck is currently stopped. He's on pit road. We got to go back up here to the front, though, because they're going 3 wide. As now Michael Massey and Jason Keffer up in this mix. Still 2-car tandeming there in the middle, though, is Cummings and Vargas.
Keeping an eye on this packet. This is where the action's going to take place. Holy moly, I'm watching the back bumper of Vargas, and there's a car inside of him. That's just how close they're pushing.
We're almost 3-car tandeming down the back straightaways. Jason Keffer was almost to the bumper of Ryan Vargas, but Michael Massey on the inside is able to clear off of 4. Here comes the 10-car to the outside again with help from Vargas.
Oh boy, this is close. And they're approaching lapped cars.
Oh boy, that's going to be a number of drivers that end up getting involved in that spin on the restart, like Ford Martin, Chris Wilner, Steve Offont, Stephen Ellis as well, just up ahead of these race leaders as we're still 3 wide for the top position going into turn 3. Make it 4 wide as Jeff Green now looks to the middle.
Yeah, that was 2-car tandems battling it out.
But still, Ryan Vargas continues to push the back bumper of the 10 of DJ Cummings. I would wonder at some point if there might be some overheating issues for that 4 machine if he continues to stay tucked up to the bumper of the 10.
Battle for the lead. Here comes Jeff Green to the inside. Uh-oh. He's going to go 4 wide. Here we go.
Here goes Cummings.
Tandem drafting 4 wide. Oh, there we go.
No,
they
they saved
saved
it.
it.
Somehow.
Wow.
Somehow. I don't know how. Don't ask me how. I have no explanation. And after that, Jeff Green now emerges with the lead, but now Cummings and Vargas light up nose to tail again. You had 6 cars up in this lead pack to battle it out. It's now turned into 3 after that near mishap over in turns 1 and 2.
It's 3 right now, but the other 3 are not that far behind this pack here.
DJ Cummings to the outside with a push from Vargas, trying to line up the bumpers there as he snakes it a little down the back straightaway. Jeff Green says, I'll take the lowest road possible here through 3 and 4 and try and gap you guys again.
Yep, but that's not good. Gapping is one thing, but on a track like this where the 2-car tandems will just blow right past them.
Now Ryan Vargas maybe looking to make a move for 2nd place, tired of pushing the 10. He's going to go to the inside for 2nd place. Now swings to the outside for the lead on Jeff Green.
And here comes the rest of those cars.
Joshua Slate now in the 88 back up here. Keffer's caught back up, as has Michael Massey. This going on 4 seconds ahead of 7th place driving Justin Malello.
You're not getting credit for that rhyme, by the way.
Okay. Vargas now, look at this. The pusher about to become the pushee. It was Vargas pushing Cummings before. Now Cummings is going to shove the back bumper of the 4. Vargas looking to go to the lead into turn 1.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. He was probably overheating and had to make a switch.
Now you got Keffer up there on that outside line as well. 30 laps to go, 29 as they hit the start-finish line this time around. Only 6 cars up in this lead group right now. Actually, make that 7 cars up in this lead group. Nope, it's actually 6. Got to check my numbers here. As now there's actually a battle that's settled out here. The best battling now is going on here. A 4-car pack. Michael Rossi, Justin Malello, Brendan Madonia, and Paul Sutton.
Still side by side, battle for the lead. Oh, look at that. 3 wide on the very inside lane. I don't think he's going to get clear, though.
Jason Keffer tried, but you're right. Jeff Green, Ryan Vargas, DJ Cummings going to line up nose to tail there on the back straightaway. Green now crosses down, tries to get across the nose of Jason Keffer. Can't do it this time. They'll remain side by side. Watch out for the run this 4-car might get.
The race had ended right there. That would have been Jeff Green's race in a close photo finish.
And now Vargas up on the back bumper of Jeff Green. That outside line trying to prevail. Now what's happening here is the outside line's getting the draft on the straightaways, but Keffer's able to counter it with how low he's running down at the bottom of turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Woo, Green just barely cleared him. I think Green may have cleared himself right there. That was close.
Oh yeah, he had no choice but to do that.
And now Green back to the top position. Keffer back to second. These 6 drivers right now, whoop, as Keffer gets the grass there. These 6 drivers, I think, are hoping this thing goes green to the end, so it can be those 6 to settle it out for this race win.
Well, we have to worry about fuel as well if this race stays green. I'm not entirely sure what the fuel mileage of these cars is.
Things have to drastically change. If the 3 drivers that came into this race in elimination spots are not going to be leaving Texas still in those elimination positions. Dylan Welch, we already know, is out after he DNF'd from this race. Chris Wilder is currently a lap down in 17th. Whoop! Careful there, as Joshua Slate gets a little out of shape. And Ron Capps is currently 15 laps down, still sitting on pit road. So right now, those would be the 3 drivers that would be eliminated from moving on to the round of 7 if things stay the way they are.
Drafting. Up here, Vargas trying to take the lead, but Jeff Green with the very inside lane should get clear.
Let's see just how much of a push DJ Cummings is giving to Ryan Vargas here. Break to the back bumper. Well, as soon as I go on board with him, he's actually going to duck down to the inside on Vargas. Joshua Slate pushing Jeff Green on that inside line.
Oh, and here comes another battle for the lead right here.
Mentioned that Joshua Slate took the checkered flag about 3 weeks ago at the Daytona Super Speedway in the
Who's
Cup
that
cars.
running on the outside by himself? What a run.
That's the 21 of Jason Keffer.
He just went to the outside of a 2-car tandem and almost passed him.
We saw with Seth Eggert earlier on this race, if you get enough of a run, you can actually make passes on that outside line by yourself. And boy, Jeff Green getting a rear deck lid full of Ryan Vargas. He was out of shape down the entire front straightaway because the 4-car might have been lifting his rear tires off the ground.
And that's a very big possibility. The nose of these cars could just dig underneath.
Shovel. So yeah, could very well be lifting the rear tires off the ground of the car that they are pushing. As right now Joshua Slate and Michael Massey, they have found the fastest way around the track down on the extreme inside line, down near the safer barrier in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That tandem on the top side is not really seeming to work for Green, Vargas, and DJ Cummings.
It can work for the meantime, but they've really got to get it going. Look at the run that Jeff Green's getting.
Down the back straightaway they go, and now there you see those lap machines. Not necessarily slow lap machines, but definitely will be somewhat in the way. One of those is the 26 of Chris Wilner. One I believe is the 46 of Steve Ellis, and I think the other one could possibly be the 66 of Seth Eggert.
Someone's going to have to make a decision here.
Oh boy. Oh, we're 4 wide, and we're wrecking. Car upside down. That was Cummings in the 10. That's going to be a caution.
Oh, that is definitely a caution.
Noah Lewis, we saw right there, bottom of your screen, the 98 was involved. He may have actually gotten away with only about 3 or 4 cars in that one. Ryan Vargas, I know, definitely got a piece. He's got some damage on the rear wing. And that was a 4-wide situation with 2 lead lap cars and 2 cars that were about to go a lap down, and it just didn't work going into turn 1.
And Jeff Green, once again, is your race leader with 21 laps to go.
Green, I believe, was the 3rd car on the outside of that 4-wide formation going into turn 1. Joshua Slate, the other lead lap car, was the car on the inside. I think the 2nd car in the middle was Noah Lewis, and the car that was way up on the top side was the 66 of Seth Eggert, as we're going to go back and see what happened there over in turn 1.
Mayhem and lap cars were the main cause.
Here is the 2 cars up front there. Those are cars that are about to go a lap down. And there you see Green makes the move up the middle, makes contact with, I think that was Noah Lewis, sends him up into Ryan Vargas, and then DJ Cummings nowhere to go as well as he got flipped over. Not sure who it was that flipped him over. It might have possibly been the 21 of Keffer. We'll go back and look. Well, another big break here, though, Michael, for some of our playoff contenders with this caution coming out. This gives new life to Chris Wilder, Ford Martin, and if Ron Capps is able to get back out on track, he might be able to get back on the lead lap and still have a shot of preserving a spot inside the round of 7.
Absolutely, it's very much possible.
The black car up there on the top side of the screen, the 10 of DJ Cummings. There is the wreck right there. Just kind of got doored by Keffer. Came up into him, and then up and over goes the 10 machine. And we have had a couple of longer green flag runs, not necessarily without incident, but we have been able to run about 20 to 25 laps the last couple of times before a caution comes out, which says to me that maybe, just maybe, most of these drivers have at least 1 or 2 of their faster pairs still left, as we're going to be getting this restart with 20 laps to go, less than 20 laps to go.
Yeah, it's going to be less than 20 laps to go in this restart, which means now we're going to see all that hardcore racing happen once again, and probably not going to see the last caution flag.
Remember, there were only 6 lead lap cars up in that lead pack. All of a sudden, you've got everybody from 7th place on back that's back up here in the hunt, as Ron Capps in the 13 has indeed returned back to the racetrack. He's 20 laps down. Not sure if he'll be able to get all those back before we go green or not. Might have to rely on a couple more cautions, but if he is able to get back in the lead lap, he's at least got a shot.
That's 20 laps he has to make up, and they got long, long caution laps, so it could possibly be happening. But Seth, as we're getting ready to finish up the last 20 laps of this race, does it think it's time to say let's do another side-by-side?
I think we will do just that as Jeff Green shows the way here. We'll be going back green with less than 20 to go. But the question is, how many laps to go will there be? Will we still be using 3 overtime green-white checkered cautions? We'll have to wait and see. You won't miss a thing here under pacing. We'll be back for the green flag here from Texas in the Petrolhead Apparel 100.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Back Green Flag Racing after working our 7th caution here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway for the Petrol Head Apparel 100. It's the elimination race number 2 of the Monday Night Racing League. Their playoff system will now whittle the field down from 10 to 7 at the conclusion of tonight's race. Now, we already know one driver that is out, that being the 22 of Dylan Welch. The question is who's going to join him. Ron Capps looked like he could be a candidate, but he's been able to get at least 4 of his laps back here under Payson. If we have another caution, might get more of them back and get back in the lead lap with a shot of preserving a spot in the final 7.
Justin Malillo hanging around in the 4th position. We're going to have 16 laps to go on this restart. I don't know. I don't really know who to put my money on because this is going to be a heck of a finish. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see at least one more caution flag.
There's a lot of guys that have been aggressive on restarts, starting outside of the top 10, including Seth Agert back in 13th. Nick DeGroot, our winner from last week, in 15th, so buckle up tight. It's going to be a crazy one here as a lot of drivers back there. Ellis and Eggert, we're ready to go on that top side.
Absolutely. The outside lane is not the lane you want to be in, but Jeff Green left the inside lane open, and he's going to probably pay for it because he's got no real help behind him. Oh boy.
You can't side draft in these cars, can you?
He's trying. Look
If
at
you
Vargas.
can, they are.
Vargas to the outside.
Vargas to the outside line with DJ Cummings. Those two probably going to try and hook up again. You see Justin Malillo, who started up there in the top 5 for this restart. He is fading to the back quickly as up front, Michael Rossi in the 17. What an up and down night he's been having, but now he's back up in the top 3.
Jeff Green trying to hold position. He could get a good look at the run he gets on the outside lane.
The 19 of Paul Sutton.
Oh,
He's
gosh.
looking low. Gracious. Nearly got chopped off by Rossi. Look at the top side. That, I believe, is the 25 getting a push there. No, I'm sorry. That's actually Paul Sutton getting a push from Brian Vargas.
I'll need to look at this through a wide camera here because this is absolutely incredible.
Not sure there's a lens that can hold just how wide these drivers are fanned out at the front of the field.
Oh, there goes Jeff Green.
Oh, Jeff Green around. He's going to get hit from Paul Sutton. Track's blocked up as Sutton goes barrel rolling down the back straightaway. We'll see if a caution comes out for this or not. Yet.
Couple of cars involved here.
Just Sutton and Green, I do believe. I'm not sure who the other driver was that hit the flipping 19, but we're still green. 13 to go. Joshua Slate continuing to show the way.
There's the caution.
It's out, and it's for Jason Keffer. Back on the front straightaway, I do believe. For 21, blue and yellow IKEA machine, going around just off the exit of the front straightaway. I assume that's what the caution came out for. It may have been a late call by the admins for the Paul Sutton flip on the back straightaway, but is to help the case of one Ron Capps, who's currently 16 laps down, now has another caution period to try and get some more of those laps back.
Absolutely, and not just that, it's going to allow these cars, if they have any fast repairs left, to be able to use them, as this restart will come within 10 laps to go.
And here's another thing as well. You brought up the question of fuel. If everybody comes to pit road now, I would assume even if we had green-white checkered overtimes, all three of them, I think more than likely these drivers would be good to make it on fuel.
It's very possible, as Joshua Slate is the leader once again.
That spun Jeff Green around was between himself and DJ Cummings. Sutton's car up and into the air for at least the second time tonight that I know of. He was able to drive away from the incident. We're going to see what also happened to Jason Keffer on the front straightaway. This was also up at the front. Contact between DJ Cummings, Jason Keffer. On the outside line, I believe, was the 64 of Brent Baldeck that we're going to see here just off the second crook of the D-shaped front straightaway. Oh, you see right there, it looks like Cummings just pushed up the track a little bit, gets into the left rear quarter panel of Baldeck down into Jason Keffer. And that was really only a two-car incident there, so I think more than likely the caution was thrown for the incident on the back straightaway rather than this incident on the front straightaway.
Yeah. And I'm trying to do the math here, and it's very, very possible that we could get a restart with roughly about 7 to 6 laps to go. And that's gonna be heck. And I'm pretty sure I'm willing to bet $10 that says we're gonna have a caution before the end of this race.
Well, let's not forget that if necessary, we do have 3 green-white checkers for overtime. However, if these drivers do manage to get to the white flag and a caution is not thrown for anything prior to that, we are racing back to the checkered flag. Folks, tonight's event is sponsored by Petrolhead Apparel, the Petrolhead Apparel 100 here at Texas. Petrolhead Apparel products are made to order with the best quality materials possible using their state-of-the-art digital printing equipment. From t-shirts to hoodies to tank tops, visit their shop at petrolhead-apparel.myshopify.com. You can also follow them on social media on Twitter at petrolheadshirt.
Glad you got that out of the way.
So as we wait for the lights to go out atop the pace car here, just to update some of the drivers that were off the lead lap prior to this caution coming out. Steve Affont still on pit road in the 11. He's currently 9 laps down, but Ron Capps, you'll see him around the top side, zooming around, trying to get as many laps back as possible. Right now, 14 laps down to the race leaders and trying to keep his playoff hopes alive, but right now he needs to get back on the lead lap if he's going to have any shot of that, as he came into this race below the cut line. Now, the other driver that was in danger, Chris Wilner, things have turned correct for him, at least for the moment. He's up to the 9th position, and a couple of drivers that he needed to be ahead of after this race was over, he actually is ahead of. That would be Ford Martin in the 07. Right now, Ford is in the 11th position, and Wilner came into this race 2 points behind him. So those two right now tied for the final elimination spot in this race. And of course, as you alluded to, Michael, with only a few laps to go when we get back green, everybody where they're running right now, that could drastically change in the final few laps of this race.
Absolutely, and I want to bring up a bit of a funny part to this. Listening to the driver's radio we have, I believe it's Justin Malello, said he's had to go pee since like 5 o'clock, and he's in a lot of pain.
Well, Malello, if he wants to keep...
Go ahead.
If he wants to keep his playoff spot, he's going to have to tough it out.
We've all been there.
Malello came into this race 12 points ahead of the cut line, and
He should just go in his racing suit.
that's what all the great pros do. We're still waiting for those lights to go out atop the pace car here, but Joshua Slate, you know, like I said prior to us going green for this race, Slate ended up winning at the Daytona Superspeedway a few weeks ago. This track, we basically compared it to a superspeedway. Draft comes into play. We see 2-car tandems here tonight. This very much is like a superspeedway type race, which is why I think we're seeing Joshua Slate being able to do so well of not only getting his car to the front, but keeping his car at the front.
Yeah. Man, how many laps down? More laps down is Ron Capps?
Well, he just went around to get his 4th lap back here under this caution period, so he's now 11 laps down, and
I don't think it's gonna be enough.
I might be wrong, but I thought that admins are actually able to add laps back to drivers here. Maybe not necessarily under caution periods, but I thought that was how laps were added in some prior events that we did here, some prior races here on Monday Night Racing. But Ron Cap's trying to get those laps back as quickly as he can, and boy, if you're Ron Capps, I think right now, with the fact he's only being able to get, 4 or 5 laps back during a caution period, he's going to need some of those green-white checkered overtime cautions.
Yeah, he's gonna definitely need as much as he can, but I still don't believe it's gonna be enough. The pace car lights are out. We are going back green flag racing with what I said, 7 laps to go.
Ron Capps to be able to advance into the next round, not only would he have to get on the lead lap, but he would have to finish 6 positions ahead of Ford Martin, 7 ahead of Seth Eggert, or 8 ahead of Michael Rossi. And right now, all 3 of those drivers are running up just inside or outside of the top 10. Ford Martin in the 11th position, Rossi up in 2nd, and Eggert right now in 3rd. And keep an eye on that 66, because he's been one of the best on the restarts here, and he's going to have to try and get around maybe one of the best blockers here tonight in the 88 of Joshua Slate. So you said it, Michael. We may not be done with cautions. I'd look at those 2 to maybe be a couple of candidates that might bring out our next caution of the night.
Absolutely. As you saw Ron Capps go back around again, he's going to be far behind this pack when the green flag drops.
Some other drivers that have done a great job tonight of at least preserving their spot into the next round. Justin Malello, 2nd in the points coming to this, is up in 7th. Stephen Ellis is 10th right now. He was 3rd in points. And DJ Cummings, we've seen the kind of up and down night he's had, but he's still soldiering on in 14th place, trying to advance into the next round of the playoffs as Joshua Slate gets us back underway. 7 laps to go tonight here at Texas.
Keeping an eye on the lead. Oh, there he goes. Block already.
Gracious. Michael Rossi thought about it. Slate says no. Here comes Seth Eggert around the outside for 2nd.
And he got it too complete because he had to back out of the throttle, lost all of his momentum.
Here goes Eggert up to the outside of Joshua Slate for the race lead, trying to pinch the 88 down. Out of turn 4. He cleared him.
Wow. Power move by him. Oh, and the caution is out again.
Wilder, Justin Malello.
Oh, big wreck.
There's a big wreck back here out of turn 4. Jason Keffer was involved.
Oh, and that's more torture for Justin Malello.
Ford Martin's coming down pit road. I don't know if he got involved or
Michael
if he
Rossi
was forced down there. Yeah, I just saw that. Rossi just up there ahead had a problem with the 17.
I have to go back and look at that one. Oh, that was an issue when the caution was already out, I think. Oh, the 88 got loose. Second place wrecked.
Yeah, Slate's now back in 12th place. So we'll quickly go back and first see what brought the caution out, and then we'll see the follow-up wreck after the yellow flag was thrown. And we are going to have, I believe, at least one of our overtime cautions here.
I don't know.
I don't think you're going to be able to get back green in the amount of laps that we've got.
We've got 5 laps to go right now. It's very possible we might get one extra lap. So you're right. We could either get an in regulation green white checkered, or our first attempt at one.
We had another incident over there out of turn 2 that didn't bring out the caution. You just saw the 24 of Jeff Green spinning around, and Keffer to cut it down as low as possible there through 3 and 4, got into the wall, and already Wilner in the 26 was flipping ahead of him. So it might have started with Wilner's machine. Let's see if we can find out what the cause of the wreck was there out of turn 4 before we then look at the incident between Joshua Slate and Michael Rossi. Oh, getting out of shape there on the inside line? No, it was not. It was actually Drew Welker in the 2 going down to the inside there at 3 and 4. Oh, no, it was Malello. Malello got around into the 2. And then Wilner up and into the air. There's Malello on the left side of your screen, the lower left side. And let's take a look and see about Joshua Slate. What happened to the 88, who is right now on pit road. A lot of track position lost for him as he spent a good portion of tonight up inside of the top 5.
Yep, it's very, very possible. Coming to get 4 laps to go under caution.
Right there, that contact to himself and Seth Eggert, snapping him around and nowhere for Michael Rossi to go. Second and third at the time, as you mentioned, where they were running. And now both of them going to find themselves quite a ways back in traffic with what looks like is going to be an overtime caution, at least the first one of the night here at Texas Motor Speedway. And again, this continues to help Ron Capps, who is now 6 laps down. I still think, just based on the number of laps that he was able to gain under the last caution period, he's going to need at least one more caution to come out to get back on the lead lap. But then if we end up having that third and final green-white checkered, we have been told by Monday Night Racing admins that if we get to that third overtime caution, or that third overtime restart, I should say, we have no caution come out. It's a 2-lap shootout. Whatever happens, happens. They race back to the checkered flag. So, you know, you have that with the type of racing we've had here this evening. Ron Capps, if he gets back in the lead lap, is not out of the realm of possibility of leaving Texas tonight with a top 10, maybe even a top 5.
Yeah, and that would be something to see coming back from 20 laps down, having, like, I'm not sure what caused him to go 20 laps down if he just tried to wait for a full repair, but to see him come from there to a top 5 finish would be outstanding.
Brett Baldeck, the 64, is currently on pit road, currently 2 laps down, as I think he's trying to get some repairs done to his machine.
Man, I feel so bad for that freaking cone off of turn 4.
Off of 4, and the cone down there at the end of the commitment line at the end of pit road, I've seen shot up into the catch fence a couple of times into turn 1. There's no love for the cones here tonight.
Well, we are going to definitely go into our first attempt at overtime. We did not get the 1-to-go signal that time, and we have 3 laps to go right now.
I've looked through the field and tried to see if I can find one driver that has not been involved in an incident tonight in some way, shape, or form. Guess what? I couldn't find one. Everybody has been involved in an incident here tonight so far in these 98 laps.
And I wonder if I was right about 80% of the field using up all of their quick repairs. Hiccups, sorry.
As we're going to just quickly update again about some of our lap machines, and Steve Affont is back out on track, 12 laps down, trying to get his laps back. I think that was him that just actually went around the pace car there. And they're now 11 laps down. Ron Capps 4 laps down. He'll be able to maybe get at least one of them back here if the lights go out this time. Let's give you a full field rundown just for the moment, just in case this might be our last restart of the evening. Seth Eggert is now your leader. Michael Rossi in second. Bear in mind, those 2 drivers are playoff contenders. Ryan Vargas is now in third. Joe Agee 4th. Noah Lewis is currently in 5th. 6th is Brendan Madonia. Then you have to go down to DJ Cummings in 7th to get to our next playoff contender. Paul Sutton is in 8th. He's been airborne twice tonight. Stephen Ellis right now in 9th, and Nick DeGroot, our winner from the last 2 races, is now in 10th. Justin Malello in 11th, Chris Wilner in 12th, Michael Massey 13th, 14th is Jason Keffer, Jeff Green in 15th, Drew Welker 16th, Ford Martin 17th, and Joshua Slate is 18th. Those drivers are on the lead lap. Ron Capps right now 3 laps down in 19th, 20th is Brett Baldeck, he is 4 laps down, 11 laps down is Steve Affont in 21st. He is the last car that is still on the track. Dylan Welch out of the race in 22nd. Jerry Jordan out of the race in 23rd. If my calculations are correct right now, Michael, the drivers that would not be moving on to the round of 7, Dylan Welch, Ron Capps, and Ford Martin, just based on where they run right now.
If we get one more caution, Ron Capps will be back on the lead lap. He just got waved around again, and I believe that will put him as 2 laps down now. And it does. Moves him up to the 19th position.
So Ron Capps praying for a caution. It could keep his playoff hopes alive. The best battle that we'll be keeping an eye on as far as a playoff position will be Chris Wilner in the 26 restarting 12th, Ford Martin in the 07 starting 17th, Those two were separated by 2 points coming into tonight. Martin above the cut line, Wilner below the cut line. Those might be the two to settle it out as to who's moving on and who isn't. Here we go. First attempt at a green-white checkered at Texas.
Green flag is out. Here we go.
See if they can make it back to the white flag. If they do, it's race back to the checkers. But if a caution comes out prior to that, we will attempt it one more time as Eggert with the lead. Rossi, almost got the wall there as he tried to turn that car way down to the inside.
Oh, the leader did.
We got a big wreck. Seth Eggert up and into the catch fence, and he took a number of drivers with him.
It was the leader that got cold tire. Oh, Stephen Ellis is stuck on the wall.
There's another car up ahead that's up on his side. I think it's Nick DeGroot, and yeah, you're right, that is Ellis. As he's stuck up there on the safer barrier on the inside, and it's not over. Ryan Vargas was the driver on the outside. I mean, you mentioned the fact that outside, usually you go to the back. Well, for Ryan Vargas, that outside line put him to the front because everyone on the inside line wrecked.
Yep. He's got it. The leader's trying to like Stephen Ellis is asking somebody to knock him off the wall. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be possible because he's set. I know he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to tow, but I don't think there's actually anybody that can knock him off.
I think he's too high up in the air for anybody to knock him down. And Stephen Ellis came into this race somewhat comfortable, but not comfortable enough. Only 10 points ahead of that cutoff line area. And with the fact that Ron Capps is going to get back in the lead lap.
Oh, Malello tried to get him off the wall and got himself stuck on the wall. So he just gave up his 6th position.
And that's not good for Malello because Malello only came into this race 12 points ahead of the cut line. So, gracious. Texas is definitely playing the X factor here into who may be moving on to the round of 7.
Absolutely.
Go back and see if we can find out what exactly happened. I think you stated it. The cold tires for race leader Seth Eggert on that inside line. There it was going through turns 1 and 2. And boy, yeah, you just see the back end snap around. Gold Rossi, nowhere to go. I believe that was also it was the 25 of Joe Agee that was on that inside line that got a piece of that. Ryan Vargas, the luckiest driver in turns 1 and 2, able to drive around the outside. Now we want to see what happened here with drivers like Nick DeGroot and Stephen Ellis that caused them to be up on their side and up on the wall. Here they are. The yellow machine and the gray machine. Wreck's already happened up ahead of them right there. And as they come into view, they're trying to avoid the 26 of Chris Wilner, and gracious. I think that was DJ Cummings right there as well that tossed both the 89 and the 46 up into the air, and that's why the 46 of Ellis came to rest on the inside safer barrier.
Yep. Cars are so easy to get up and flip. It's just... And then they get stuck because their cars are so flat.
And the incredible thing about that, too, is these drivers, they're only getting up to about 160, maybe 165 tops in the draft. You know, we see the Indy cars here hit 200 miles per hour. The Cup cars will hit about 190, 195. It doesn't sound like they're going that fast, but these cars are just built so light. I think that's why we're seeing a lot of them flipping and barrel rolling all this evening.
Absolutely. And there's something we got to document. Remember, I said only one more caution was needed, and now Ron Capps is back on the lead lap.
You see Justin Malello, Chris Wilner blocking up the track, and oh man, there's the shot. I think it was from Malello that actually sent the 46 and the 89 up into the air. That might be actually why Malello was trying to get Stephen Ellis off the wall, because it was his hit that put him up there. But wow.
Look at where Ron Capps is after getting on the lead lap. He is in 12th position.
And has a shot maybe of being able to advance. One driver right now that I'd be a little bit concerned for is that 17 of Michael Rossi. He still sits on pit road getting some repairs done, and he was only 2 points ahead of the cut line coming into this race. Drivers like Wilner and Capps could very well capitalize here and knock him out of a playoff position. Wilner is in 3rd. Caps is in 12th. Rossi is 2 laps down. He just returned to the track in 18th. We'll see if he can get back on the lead lap before we go green. So Vargas is the leader. Sutton is now 2nd. Wilner has actually moved up to 3rd, as I believe Ford Martin just came to pit road in the 07.
Oh, somebody
Green
just
is
flew up.
Yeah, I think one of our leaders just blew up because the top 5 just changed.
No, that yellow car. I don't know who that yellow car is.
Is that Stephen Ellis, perhaps?
Yes, it is.
And even if he has a faster pair, he's got to crawl that thing back around to pit road. He may not have the power to do it, so again would have to get another tow. Not going well for that 46 car here in these last 5 laps or so, as he does teleport it to pit lane. Well, I'm trying to do the calculations here in my head, but it may be best to just set that on the back burner until the checkered flag waves here tonight, because with so many of our contenders either getting back into competition or dropping out of competition, the points just may be too close to calculate live. We may have to wait until the checkered flag has waved, the order is official, before we really know who is moving on to the round of 7. The only driver we can say with absolute certainty is moving on to the round of 7 is Nick DeGroot. Everybody else, it may be a catch-22.
Yep, and the pace car lights are off, which means we are going to go back racing this time around. And oh my gosh, Seth, how much do you want to bet me that we'll have our final green-white checkered attempt?
I think we may end up having it. I think we may end up using all 3 of them here tonight, just based on what we saw there with our race leader spinning out to bring out the caution to put us under the 2nd overtime green-white checkered. But Ryan Vargas, he ended up putting out a tweet here tonight. He saw that this race was going on. He saw the type of cars. He says, I gotta be a part of it. Well, he's been a part of it. He's been up in the top 5 pretty much all night long, and now has a shot here to hold him off for 2 laps and maybe take a checkered flag here this evening in the Monday Night Racing playoffs.
Got to keep your eye also on Ron Capps. He's back on the lead lap. We're going to see if he can tear his way through the field and see where he can get up to in these last 2 laps.
Chris Wilner up in that 3rd position. What an up and down roller coaster night it's been for him. He's been a lap down multiple times in this race, but he's got a shot of moving on to the next round. Right now, the driver that might be in the biggest problem spot would be Michael Rossi. He just got back 1 lap down. I don't think he's going to be able to get that other lap back, so he's going to have to hope for another overtime caution here.
Here we go, getting ready, and green flag is back out.
Saw that Vargas kind of crowded Paul Sutton down to the grass there, not allowing him to jump to the inside of him. And down into turn 1. Pretty big lead there for Ryan Vargas. I might be a little worried when they get to the back straightaway if they might get a run on me. Joshua Slate making a move for 4th place there out of turn 2. Oh, we got a car up in the air. Car flipping down the back straightaway. Let's see if that brings out a caution or not. Do they race back to the white before the yellow comes out? Caution. Jeff Greensmith as well.
Oh, that's another big wreck.
Oh, gracious. Several drivers. Nick DeGroot up into the wall. I think I saw Justin Malello spinning as well. Brendan Madonia, I think, also spun. Oh, gracious. And then someone just hit. I think that was Michael Massey on the back straightaway.
It's Nick DeGroot says he is done after the incident. I guess he is all out of repairs.
And you got to wonder how many other drivers might be at that point in time. Seth Eggert in the 66 is on pit road. The 46 of Stephen Ellis still sits on pit lane. He's been on there for 3.5 minutes. I think that's Justin Malello just now leaving pit road. And now we know that we will have 1 more green-white checkered overtime finish, and there will be no caution coming out in this 2-lap shootout. Let's document everything as we get ready to go back to the replay of where your playoff contenders are now that we were looking at down near the cut line. Ron Capps has moved up to 9th. Chris Wilner still up in the top 5 in 5th. Ford Martin is now in 14th. Seth Eggert currently in the 18th position And that caution, saving the playoff hopes of Michael Rossi, he'll be able to get back on the lead lap.
Absolutely. But with only 2 laps to go, the question is, does he just wait for the wrecks to happen, or does he you would have to assume he would just have to go for it.
You have to at this point go for it, I would think. There's no opportunity of lifting and saving now, because if you do that, you're going to lose momentum. If you lose momentum, you're going to lose spots. I think that car that we saw flipping up into the air off of turn 2 may have been the 66 of Seth Eggert, who actually was involved in an incident by himself again, very much like what we saw bring out the earlier caution just before this. It's on that inside line out of the corner. Oh, well, nope, actually, he got hit there by Keffer, trying to avoid another wreck that was up ahead of him. We'll find out what that was.
It was just wrecks all over this place.
There were about 3-4 different wrecks that took place there out of turn 2. The 2 cars that Eggert was trying to avoid, I believe one of them was the 89 of Nick DeGroot. Not sure if he went around by himself or no, it wasn't DeGroot. It was the 25 of Joe Agee that actually went around by himself, and I think he got a hit from the 53 of Justin Malello.
Yeah.
There it is right there. Car goes around, up into the 53 of Malello, sends him up and hard into the outside wall, actually up into the catch fence. Let's see if we can find out what happened with the 89 of Nick DeGroot, because he didn't get involved in that wreck. There's the Jeff Green spin. Oh, there's the hit right there.
Yep.
That was Brendan Madoni and the 49 getting into the inside wall and nowhere for Nick DeGroot to be able to go. And Michael, they're starting to pile up. Brett Baldeck has gone behind the wall, as have Jason Keffer and Joe Agee.
Yep, I was just about to tell you that, and you've seen it here. So, and that's more for Ron Capps as well. More spots for Ron Capps to get. He is in the 9th position now.
Now, it is more for Ron Capps to get, but as well, he needs some of those DNFers to be drivers he's battling for playoff spots. Now, one of them is actually there, Seth Eggert in the 66, who has just now taken his car back behind the wall. So let's examine this. Seth Eggert came into this race 1 meager point ahead of the cut line. So that gives Ford Martin maybe a little bit of breathing space. But now the question is, who's going to replace Seth Eggert in the top 7? Would it be Wilner or would it be Capps?
Yeah, it could very well be Capps because of where he's at on the racetrack right now.
Well, Wilner's up in 4th. The other question is, could Ford Martin get replaced out by either one of those drivers as well? It could very well be 2 drivers, Eggert and Martin, that entered into this race in playoff spots, could find themselves out. 2 drivers that were behind the cut line, and Wilner and Capps could be moving in. And again, there's no cautions to save any drivers here on this final restart.
Absolutely. And with the pace car lights still on, this is going to be intense. Just because he's up in the top 5 doesn't mean he's going to finish there. I mean, it's seriously, he could very well easily get involved in a wreck or spin himself out. We've seen it happen. I haven't seen these cars come down for pit, you know, except for the damaged cars. So it's very interesting.
Well, the longest driver that's been out there on this stint is Ron Capps. He's been out there for 26 laps. A lot of that was because he was getting the wave around to get his laps back. The other driver that's been out there the longest, Ryan Vargas, has been out there for 20 laps. Just about everybody else, they've been down pit road and been able to take service because of the fact they've had to come down and repair crash damage. So anytime that anybody's been on pit road, it hasn't necessarily been down there to take on 4 tires. It's been down there out of necessity to get their cars back up to speed damage-wise.
Oh, yeah.
And the lights are out. Well, take a deep breath, Michael, because this might be the wildest 2 laps of the evening, and playoff spots are on the line. I see a car coming to pit road there. I think that's Nick DeGroot in the 89. Like he may be pulling that car into the garage here. He already knows he's advancing into the round of 7, so based off of everything that's happened here tonight, the one driver that's been able to breathe a sigh of relief.
I want to point out that coming to the green flag, Ryan Vargas says, raise all the heck you guys can muster, praise Cole Custer.
Well, Ryan Vargas, I don't know how he's able to joke at a time like this. He's going to have about 15 other hungry drivers behind him trying to take this win away from him in a 2-lap shootout that will not see a caution flag. And I just want to update as well. We talked about the issues for Ford Martin, Seth Agert, another driver that might be in trouble. Steven Ellis is right now 20th, 5 laps down. So a lot of your big name drivers here during the playoffs might not be making it into the round of 7, depending on what happens here on this final green-white checkered.
Absolutely, keeping an eye on it here, getting ready to take the green flag. I'm watching from the rear camera of Ryan Vargas. This should be an interesting last couple laps.
It's Vargas, Sutton, Slate, Wilner, and Cummings. That's the top 5. 16 cars on the lead lap with a shot of winning this race. Green flag in the air for the final time tonight at Texas. See drivers spin it. Oh, we're auto wrecking back there on the restart. Several drivers. One of them was Ron Capps. The other was Drew Welker. No caution yet, and it will not come out.
Oh, we have a new leader.
Joshua Slate to the front. Oh, we got another wreck, another car. Hard into the wall. That's Paul Sutton. Hard in the inside wall. Still racing for the race lead for the win. Coming to the white flag.
Another wreck. 2 more wrecks.
Vargas to the outside of Joshua Slate. They will see the white flag. 1 lap to go here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. And look at here. Here comes another car into view. That's the 98 of Noah Lewis looking to take this win.
If they can just get side by side, that'll be it.
Well, there's a car that's actually facing out into the track from just behind that inside wall. And I think that Slate almost hit it. Vargas swinging around the outside, trying to take this win here. He'll try and pinch the 88 down. Might be a photo finish here at Texas.
Oh, here it comes. Coming to the checkered flag.
Lewis looking 3 wide at the line.
Vargas got it.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Oh, my goodness. Ryan Vargas by 2 100ths over Slate. By 48 1,000ths over Noah Lewis. A 3 wide finish here tonight at the Texas Motor Speedway.
0.068 for Noah Lewis.
Let's take a look and see who advances, who does not now, based off the point standings.
Justin Malello finishes 6th.
Malello is in.
Ron Capps
finished in 10th. He might be in.
Ron Capps finishes 12th.
Ooh, boy. I think Capps is in. I think Wilner is in. It's a question of which 2 fell out. Is it going to be Ford Martin? Is it going to be Seth Agert? Or is it going to be Steven Ellis? Of those 3, I think those are the 3 that might be the drivers that would be one of the 2 or would be 2 of the 3 drivers that would not move on to the next round along with Dylan Welch. But we'll have to wait and try and officially figure that out as Ryan Vargas gets to burn it down here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. It took us 113 laps to get to the conclusion of this crazy one.
Absolutely.
Look at the full results. As Noah Lewis was a part of that 3 wide formation at the start-finish line, which we will go back and freeze frame in just a moment to just see how close it was. Brendan Madoni is going to bring it home 4th. Jeff Green's going to be 5th. Malello will keep his playoff hopes alive. He'll move on to the next round with a 6th-place run. Steve Affont, Michael Massey, Drew Welker, and Chris Wilder complete the top 10. Now, drivers that I am absolutely certain are going to be moving on are going to be Nick DeGroot, obviously. Justin Malello, I believe, will be moving on. DJ Cummings, I think, had enough of a cushion and enough drivers that he was around struggled tonight as well in their finishing results. I think despite the fact that he finished down in the 14th position, I think DJ Cummings is moving on, but then it's the big question mark about Rossi, Agert, Martin, and Wilder. I think maybe Martin is going to move on. I think Rossi's going to move on. I think the 2 drivers that are getting eliminated here, and again, we're going to wait for official confirmation, but I believe it's going to be Seth Agert and Steven Ellis that will not be moving on to the round of 7.
Absolutely
Go back and look at
crazy.
the replay here of that finish here tonight between Vargas, Slate, and Lewis. Two of the three had been out in front for a majority of this race, Vargas and Slate. And Noah Lewis almost was a spoiler here tonight for both of them, as he got a huge run through 3 and 4 and nearly nicked the both of them at the start-finish line. Slate and Vargas both actually made some contact with each other coming to the start-finish line. That slowed their momentum up as well. Actually, a second shot between the two of them coming to the start-finish line, and we'll see if we can get a good enough camera angle here to be able to show you just how close that finish was, and here it is.
Our drivers are ready for our interviews.
And we will get to them in just a moment, as there is your finish here tonight from Texas Motor Speedway. And I know it's a play on words, but if there's one way to describe tonight's race, Michael, it was radical.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, it was said during the race it's going to be a radical challenge, and it turned out to be.
I'm going to do a little bit of working the calculators here as we talk to our top 3. Let's kick things off here with our third place finisher, Noah Lewis. It's Seth and Michael up here at the Flatout Racing Network Studios. You got me?
I gotcha.
Well, you got a front row seat of what was going on there in that final lap between the 4 and the 88, but then you got that really big run there out of 3 and 4. Did you think you had them at the start-finish line?
I tell you, I knew that I'd gotten through everything there by just kind of laying back, and so that was kind of my game plan. I was a little nervous to go down on the apron. It was slick with really old tires and with fresh tires as well, but so I didn't want to test those waters, and I thought that maybe those guys would race so hard out of the banking and up to the front stretch that they get together. And that was kind of my only hope. And then I got that run, like you said, and just didn't have anywhere to take it in time. But I was hoping, man, that it'd be a little bit closer across the line. But it was what it was. This race was pretty hectic for me coming up and down through the field. So glad to get back over there. And then glad that Vargas won. We worked together pretty good early in the race to try to tandem and catch a few guys. So definitely didn't want to take him out.
Well, we know it was hectic up here in the booth, and we can only imagine what it was like for you drivers down there. We saw that one particular part of the track you guys had to battle pretty much on the restarts was off of turn 2. What was it there that you guys were struggling with? Was it just rear grip, just based on the fact there was very little banking there?
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was really, really slick on fresh and on old tires, and I guess guys weren't really judging what they could do. There were sometimes you can go down there and kind of hang on to it, but then other times it would just loop around. So it was a big struggle. It was really a risky kind of game. You only wanted to do it if you had to, and that's why with these few laps to go, I just kind of hung around the white line where the regulation usually is around this place, and it did work out to get a podium finish, but maybe going into 3 and 4 I should have took it down there with those guys.
Obviously this was 100 laps here tonight, a pretty lengthy race. You guys were given 4 faster pairs at your disposal, and we were kind of wondering, with the fact that just about everybody in the field here tonight was caught up in an incident in some way, shape, or form, how close were you to being down to possibly your final faster pair, or did you have any left on that final green-white checkered?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have one left. There was a time during the race actually where these cars, I didn't realize that if you hit anything, it messes them up big. So I got required damage and had to sit there for 8 minutes. Luckily, we had enough cautions. I mean, I guess not for the viewers, but for my sake, we had enough cautions to get us back on the lead lap and then work well with Ryan and just kind of stay up there. But I had one left, thankfully, so I did know that I was pretty set. But when we were lining up and knew there were no more cautions, it was all about just kind of hanging out and making sure we got through the wrecks.
Obviously, a tremendous run for you here this evening. You were able to make it through all the mayhem there on that final green-white checkered. Made it a very exciting finish there, 3 wide at the line. You bring it home with a third-place run. We're going to now let you do some shout-outs.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Paul and Ford for putting this thing on. Great friends of mine, and to those out there watching, it was a blast. For Ryan, shout out to Ryan, man, for working with me there and trying to catch the pack when we had that long green flag run. Luckily, we caught a caution, but it was just fun running with him all night. So, and then obviously shout out to you guys for putting this thing on.
Well, that is Noah Lewis. He brings it home third place here this evening. Now, congrats on a great run. Congrats on a great race, being able to survive up to that point and have a shot there at the victory. We look forward to seeing what you can do next week when the trucks head to Darlington.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And also, I want to say, running on just a few hours of sleep here. I was at Darlington all weekend in the press box and drove back. So maybe I should run on a few hours of sleep more often. We'll talk to you.
Well, that's Noah Lewis, third place tonight. Congrats on a great run. Go get some sleep.
Have a good one, guys.
And let's bring in our second place finisher, Josh Slate. Hey, Josh, it's Michael and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, I got y'all.
Well, we talked to you back at the Daytona Superspeedway when you put your car in victory lane. This track, the way the setup was, the way the cars was, very much like a super speedway. Did that play into your strength based on what we saw you be able to do back at Daytona?
Well, back in Daytona, I wouldn't call myself much of a restrictor plate race. So I raced one or two and wasn't confident going in and went out and won it. So I guess after this, I'm running similar to how we did at Daytona. I guess I could say I'm a restrictor plate racer. Never thought I had that skill, but apparently I do.
Well, one thing that we saw you had the capability of doing that not many drivers were able to do tonight was being able to block and hold drivers off. If someone got around you, you passed them right back. How difficult is it to be able to time blocks with the runs that drivers behind you were getting?
Oh, it was extremely difficult. In the practice race the other night, throughout the early parts of this race, it was mainly just practicing. It's like I want to see what I can do when I get up in the lead and uh, what I have to do to block. And these cars, once you get a bump from somebody else behind you, you're getting squirrely and it's hard to keep her straight. So just doing that, it was kind of difficult, but I started getting the hang of it, and it seemed like I was one of the only ones who could hold a lead once it got there.
We saw a lot of cautions here tonight, a lot of drivers with torn up race cars during the course of this race, and you guys only had 4 faster pairs. How close were you to having used up all of them?
I had 2 faster pairs left at the end. I got caught up in a wreck, got back up front. It was just kind of like a roller coaster day. My friend texted me in the middle. It was like, hey, you got to go. It's wreckers or checkers. And I was like, all right, got to do it. So went up there, just pushed towards the end, and luckily avoided the wrecks there at the end and was able to get a second place. I thought I was going to get the win coming off of turn 4, but really good battle between me and Ryan there.
He gave it a heck of a run there. He just came up 2/100ths of a second short, but definitely an exciting race there. A little bit of door banging there at the end as well. Didn't really know until you guys crossed the line who was going to get that one, but a great second place run for you here tonight at Texas. Josh, we're going to let you do some shout outs now.
Thank you. Yeah, big thanks to Behind the Wall Media starting that and still doing podcasts, posting everything online. 2 of my best friends who helped me run it, Henry and Jay, we're all out here grinding, just trying to make a name for ourselves and putting it on the car, trying to get it out there on the broadcast. So go check us out, www.behindthewallmedia.com. Find us on Twitter at Behind the Wall, and you can stream our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Behind the Wall Podcast.
That's Joshua Slade. He brings the 88 car home second place here tonight in a very close photo finish. Congrats on a tremendous run here tonight. Probably one of the strongest cars of the evening, and we look forward to seeing what you can do next week at Darlington.
Appreciate it, guys.
And now let's bring in Ryan Vargas, who, based off of his Twitter, I finally figured out what his car was based off of. I thought it might be mac and cheese, but it actually was goldfish on his car here this evening. Hey, Ryan, it's Seth and Michael up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, earlier this evening, you put out a tweet saying you may or may not find yourself doing tonight's race. You did it. You're in victory lane, but quite an adventure to get to that point.
Yeah, you're telling me. Using up all the quick repairs, pretty much all of them. I think I only had one left, or maybe none. Used more than half of them in the first 30 laps. I knew if I could just get the track position and work with some of those guys around me, like me and Noah and DJ Cummings, we had some good tandems going, and that's something that I kind of like figured out that you could do with these radical cars at the 1.5 miles, that you could tandem really good. So track position was key, and it worked out.
I wanted to touch a little bit there on that tandeming as well, because we saw you pushing DJ Cummings for a good portion, but then you kind of backed off and let him be the one that was pushing you. Was there a danger of pushing too long and overheating these race cars?
Uh, I mean, the thing is, I don't know because I don't do these cars enough. I saw on my wheel, it tells me the temp, and it got up to 280 at one point. And the light was, it wasn't blinking, but it was on. And so that kind of led me to believe that I was really pushing it. So once I got to that 280 range, I really just backed off DJ, and we swapped and tried to do what we can. But I mean, it's just all about confidence when you push. You just have to stay in it. Because I mean, if you become detached and you get a run and catch these guys, you're going to turn them around.
Based off what we saw here tonight, there were really 4 lanes, 3 down the apron, and then maybe just up there, that lower groove above the white line here this evening. You spent time back trying to get to the front, and you had spent time up in the front. How difficult was it being able to time the runs that drivers were able to get with having to block or make moves in 4 different lanes?
I mean, really, it was just all about not pinching yourself off and killing your momentum. A lot of those guys stuck to the apron the entire race, but I kind of tried to stay on the banking as much as possible because I don't know if it showed very well on the broadcast, but it felt like every straightaway, I just had such a big run. We were able to really get some really good speed down the straightaway to set up for these passes, and that was kind of what, in my opinion, made the difference. And that's why on the final lap, I entered as high as I did. Yeah, I was on the apron, but I stayed as high as I possibly could, just so I could keep that momentum up and get them at the line.
Well, Ryan, obviously a tremendous run for you here this evening, having to work your way through the field a couple of times, but being up there when it counted the most on that final restart and just barely being able to edge that 88 at the start-finish line, and a tremendous photo finish here tonight at Texas. We're going to let you do some shout-outs now.
Yeah, I didn't, like I said, I didn't expect to do this race, but I would like to thank the snack that smiles back, Goldfish. Um, my goldfish wrap that I had on the radical today. Really just stuff like this is so fun, and I appreciate everybody who puts this on. It's cool to have the opportunity to race with so many different people and engage with so many different people, including guys like yourselves. And just meet new people. That's what's really cool about this whole iRacing thing is you get to interact and race with people who share the same interests and passion as you. So it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate everybody that puts this on.
Well, that's Ryan Vargas. He's in victory lane here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway, your winner in the Petrol Head Apparel 100. Congrats on a great run. Congrats on an exciting victory. Go enjoy it.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
And that is going to bring the conclusion of tonight's race. 113 laps, 100 scheduled. We had to run a couple of overtime cautions here to get to the point of the end of this race. But Michael, it's one of those type of races where, yes, we do see a number of cautions come out. We do spend a lot of time pacing, obviously based off the type of car that there was tonight with the track. We had about 5 to 6 laps of pacing, but at the end of the night, it's one of those ones where you have to stick around for the finish because you never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, it was incredible, and it did not disappoint at all. It got me breathless a bunch of times tonight.
Absolutely, and I can only imagine just how exhausted these drivers must be as well, because much like a super speedway, you've got to be up on the wheel every single lap, and we saw moves being made here tonight that we don't see at a super speedway, so add in that X factor with them running around the apron here at the Texas Motor Speedway. But Ryan Vargas is your winner here tonight. Once again, want to thank Monday Night Racing for allowing us here at Flatout Racing Network to be able to broadcast their leagues every Monday night. And we have 7 drivers that are moving on to the next round. Now, this is unofficial, just based off the calculations that I had here when we were talking with our top 3. The drivers that I have that are moving on to the next round are Nick DeGroot, Justin Malello, Stephen Ellis, DJ Cummings, Michael Rossi, Chris Wilner, and Ron Capps. According to my calculations, Seth Eggert, Ford Martin, and Dylan Welch are the 3 that are not moving on. Now, that's based off of just the calculations I have. I don't know if bonus points come into play in any way. So just right now, unofficially, those are the 3 drivers that I believe are not moving on to the round of 7. And if we look ahead to that next round, Michael, it's going to get just even tougher for these drivers because next week we've got the trucks at Darlington and then our final elimination race that's going to determine our final four, it's the 1987 cars, a car that we're very familiar with, the type of racing they bring to the table at the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be incredible. I cannot wait for this.
So we'll wait and see who of the 7 that are moving on are going to be in the final 4. That Championship 4 battle, of course, is going to be at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the Indy cars. Podium Esports will have the call on that September 28th. But next week, September 14th, we'll be back here. Green flag scheduled to fly at 9:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as the trucks will take to Darlington here for the next race, the first race of round 3 for the Monday Night Racing playoffs. Michael, as always, I appreciate you joining me in the booth here tonight for some wild action at Texas Motor Speedway.
Absolutely, it's fun. I love doing this, man. It may not seem like I'm emotional, but there's reasons behind that. But trust me, I am. This has really been fun for me, and watching this really made me breathless. And I probably aged a good 10 years again.
I might have aged about 8.5. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but thanks to everybody that tuned in to tonight's event. Hope that you guys enjoyed it as well, and we'll see you guys next week at Darlington as you've been watching another broadcast here this evening, courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.